Hello, welcome to Lizzie Daly's Earth Live Lessons. Hopefully you guys can hear me okay. Hopefully you'll let me know in the comments if you can't. But welcome to the Earth Live Lessons. My name's Katie Dunning and I am an ORCA Wildlife Officer for a whale and dolphin conservation charity. So glad that you guys can all hear me okay. Thank you very much. For those of you that don't know, Lizzie is actually a patron of ORCA, so she does support all of the work that we do at ORCA, which is great. So thank you, Lizzie, so much for having me on the channel today. It is great to be able to talk about everything that we're doing at ORCA. So I'm going to talk a little bit about my role, which is as a wildlife officer. I'm going to talk a little bit about the UK and European cetaceans that we have in our local waters and things that you guys can do, even if you're not a scientist, to get involved with ORCA, because you don't need to be a scientist to get involved in whale and dolphin conservation work. So please let me know, guys, in this live chat today, if you guys have ever seen a whale or dolphin before in the wild. I would love to know, and I'm sure everybody else that's watching would love to know as well. And for those of you that are watching it on playback, I'm sure you guys won't mind either listening to everybody's amazing stories. That I'm sure we have got some amazing people watching today that have got some really good stories of whales and dolphins that you guys have seen in the wild. So let's share the positivity and get typing away in the live chat. Now, if you guys have got any questions as well, I will try and come to them throughout this video today. If not, I'll get back to them at the end of the video after I've finished speaking. I don't know how good I am at multitasking, so we'll soon find out. So we are here from ORCA. So this is our logo. You might have seen this around some different places, some different conservation sites. We are a whale and dolphin conservation charity. So ORCA use the platform of citizen science, which means that volunteers that are trained up by ORCA can get involved. They can go on our ferry surveys and they can contribute to the amazing data collection that we've got at ORCA about whales and dolphins, not just in the UK, but now on further afield basis as well. So it's really, really amazing work that ORCA are doing to do their best to conserve European, UK and global cetacean species. So I'm going to use that word a lot today, the word cetaceans. And for those of you that don't know what a cetacean is, now then, hopefully you guys can see this okay. But cetaceans cover loads of different animals. They cover whales, dolphins, like this common dolphin here, and also the teeny tiny harbour porpoises there as well that we've got all around the UK. Now, the cetaceans are marine mammals, so that means they're not a fish. They do need to come up to the surface to breathe. They can't breathe underwater like fish can, like sharks can. They do have to come up to the surface to breathe. And that means that we're only seeing such a small part of their life when they actually come up to the surface. So that means everything that we're doing when we're on ferries looking out for these whales and dolphins is really important, because we're only already seeing such a tiny part of that we need to be on these ferries as much as possible doing these amazing surveys that all of our wonderful volunteers, cruise conservationists and wildlife officers are doing to make sure we can learn as much as we can about the lifestyle and about the populations of all of our so loved whales and dolphins. Now, the whales and dolphins, it gets a little bit confusing sometimes for some people because the categories tend to break down a lot further. So I just thought I would explain the differences between two types of cetaceans. Now, we have two types of cetaceans. We have baleen cetaceans and we have toothed cetaceans. Now, hopefully you guys can see this okay. Try not to move the screen. But at the top here we have baleen cetaceans and down here we have toothed cetaceans. Now, the differences between the two is obviously based off the name. So toothed cetaceans have teeth and baleen cetaceans have these amazing baleen plates which work in a completely different way to the teeth down here. Now, the baleen plates are made out of keratin, which is what your hair made out of, what your fingernails are made out of. And this keratin essentially acts like a really thick straw matted texture that means these large animals, say like humpback whales, like blue whales, they use these baleen plates to filter feed. So that means that when these guys are eating, they're eating super tiny animals, but they're eating really large quantities of it. Whereas toothed cetaceans have, as you can imagine, they have teeth just like us. Another difference between the two is that baleen whales actually have 2 blowholes, whereas a toothed cetacean only has 1. Now, these factors are all really important when we're on a ferry and we're trying to ID our animals, because it means that we can try and distinguish between the two before we can identify which species it is that we're looking at. So another thing that we tend to look at is where the dorsal fin is, because on a baleen whale, their dorsal fin is located 2/3 of the way down the back of the animal, which is a lot further than it is in a toothed cetacean, which is right in the middle. Now, and the last thing, it's quite difficult, to be honest, sometimes to see this in when these guys are swimming, unless they actually bring out the bottom part of their body. But on a baleen whale, you can actually see the vertebrae down the back of the animal, whereas on a toothed cetacean, it's just nice and smooth. Now, that one does tend to be quite tricky to see, but it is another factor that separates the two. Now, I just thought I would give a real example of the differences that you can actually see. So this here is a bottlenose dolphin. I'm sure you guys know lots about bottlenose dolphins. They are a very famous dolphin. We have our own population. In fact, the biggest size of bottlenose dolphins in the world, because these guys are super chunky for a bottlenose dolphin in the UK because of our cooler waters. But this here is a toothed cetacean. Can you see its fin, its dorsal fin there? It's right in the middle of its body. Not sure how well you can see this, but it has just 1 blowhole there as well. Can't see any vertebrae down the back of the animal, so it's a toothed cetacean. Now, here you guys may or may not know this one. Super cute. This is the minke whale. This one here is a baleen whale. Can you see its dorsal fin is 2/3 of the way down the back? And you can't see it all that well, but it has got 2 blowholes. And even more so, if you look at it, these guys actually have rorqual pleats. Now then, these rorqual pleats in cetaceans, baleen cetaceans, actually expand. So they're right under the chin, and they expand because when these guys are eating, they're not eating like a toothed cetacean where they bite through food. When these guys are eating, they're actually taking a massive gulp of not just fish, so tiny, tiny species like krill, herring, anchovy, really small species of fish. They're actually taking in large gulps of water as well because they can't control that. So their chin actually expands through these rorqual pleats that allow more water and more food to come in through their mouths. Then once they have got all the food that they've taken out of that massive, massive gulp, they can filter through all of that water, push it all out. They can take a nice big swoop with their tongue and they can swallow all of that lovely krill that they've just gone through all of that effort to go and try and catch. Now, you guys might be familiar with these ones. We have some more toothed cetaceans here. Can anyone guess what these guys are? These are killer whales. Okay, matches well with our logo, doesn't it, at ORCA? Yep. So these are killer whales. You can see there that their dorsal fin is right in the middle of their body. Now, for these guys, obviously, they have teeth as well. These guys eat a large variety of different prey items, and their teeth do differ between the different ecotypes that are all around the world because these guys have evolved over time to adapt their teeth to the types of food that they have to eat. So these guys are all super, super cool animals and they are amazing to spend time with. So we have so many different cetaceans all around the world, which is super impressive. So I just want to show you this photo, which is an amazing diagram of the 90 different cetacean species that are around in the world today. Now, as you can see, all of these whales, dolphins, and porpoises species, because these make up the cetacean group, these guys all differ completely in size, in the food that they eat. They have so many different animals there, so many different sizes, so many different features. They're all so unique. Now, there's 90 of those, and guess how many exist around UK waters? It's a third. Which I think is insane because I grew up thinking that the UK was super boring. We didn't have many whales and dolphins around here. and that you need to go super far away to try and find anything really cool. You don't. It's right on our doorstep, which is really, really amazing. And what's great right now in the current situation is that there are some people around the UK who are lucky enough to be able to see all of these animals right from their doorsteps because they live right by the sea. So some people have grown up loving whales and dolphins and have appreciated that. Other people didn't even know it was there. So we've got loads of different situations going on right now all around the UK, and it's really exciting to see people's updates, because even though I'm not at sea right now, I'm at home absolutely nowhere near the sea, so I can't be in the middle of the Bay of Biscay at the moment. There are some amazing people around the UK and all around the globe that are still able to see cetaceans right out of their window. And I'm really enjoying your comments on here, guys. I'll come back to your questions, but I'm enjoying listening, or reading, in fact, where you guys have seen whales and dolphins before. Keep it up. It's really nice to see. It's making me smile anyway. So these are the animals that I'm working with. So we've got a third of those species all around the UK and in European waters. And my role is based in the Bay of Biscay on a ship, this one to be exact. This one here is with Brittany Ferries, and this is the Pontavon. So Brittany Ferries are one of our amazing partners that we work with, that are able to support our volunteers and our wildlife officers in the many surveys and different roles that we have. So as a wildlife officer, my role is to be on a ship just like the one that I've just shown you, and it is to survey the amazing animals that are in the Bay of Biscay and around the UK whilst we're making that journey. It's to talk to the passengers that are on the ship about the whales and dolphins that we might be able to see, because what's really amazing is that some people use these different ferry ships for a mode of transport. Other people are going on them because they know that they can use that mode of transport to see whales and dolphins, so they know they've got the benefit of the two. But for the people that don't know that they can see whales and dolphins, it's great for us to be able to share this information with everybody that's on board, so that we can try and increase the awareness of our cetaceans that are so local to us, and make sure that we can increase all of that data to make sure we're doing the best we can to try and protect them. So let's have a look. Now then, the Bay of Biscay looks a little bit like this. So this is a map. Now in the Bay of Biscay, I'll get my pencil, is this area over here. Now the Bay of Biscay is really cool because it's got this continental shelf that actually runs right the way into the bay, which allows for all of these deep ocean canyons, and it allows for these deep ocean waters that are heading out more towards the Atlantic Ocean. We also have some coastal shallow waters further up towards the English Channel. So these are the three key types of habitats that we can see in the Bay of Biscay. So up here, like I said, we've got the shallow waters, like in the English Channel. We've got the deeper waters, like towards the Atlantic Ocean. And we've got these ocean canyons as well, which are like what we see right in the middle of the Bay of Biscay. Now, these three habitats are really important in the Bay of Biscay, because that means that they provide three different habitats for lots of different animals that might not otherwise be seen in other different types of habitats. It means that we get to see a greater proportion of all of these different animals, which is super, super cool. Now then, let's have a look at some of the animals that we might see. Now then, this here is a fin whale. Now, have you guys ever seen a fin whale before? Let me know if you have in the comments. I had some great experiences with fin whales in Monterey Bay in California. These guys are super fast at swimming. Believe it or not, but they are the second largest animal on the planet. Just try and comprehend how massive that is in size. Second largest animal on the planet after the blue whale, which is super, super impressive. Now then, the fin whale is a baleen whale. So it's got those baleen plates, it's got two blowholes, and we can't even see the dorsal fin on this one because it hasn't actually made it into the picture because it's so far behind on the body. And that's because these guys are so big before that these guys are almost 27 meters long, which is probably about 2 double-decker buses, if not more. So they are super in size. They are really, really impressive to be around. And don't forget, we're only seeing such a small part of their life when they are coming up to the surface. So it's very, very humbling when you get to see an animal as huge as this in the Bay of Biscay. Now, the Bay of Biscay is a hotspot for fin whales. We do see lots of fin whales around in the Bay of Biscay. Unfortunately, they are at risk from a lot of vessel strikes because there's a lot of larger ships going into the Bay of Biscay. But it is a hotspot that we've identified for them, and we can continue to survey them on these great platforms. Now, another one you guys are probably really familiar with, sorry for the reflection, this here is the common dolphin. Now, have you guys seen a common dolphin before? It looks vaguely similar to the bottlenose dolphin that we were looking at before, but it's got a different figure of 8 pattern. Sorry if the reflection's a little bit too strong for you guys to see, but they've got a lovely figure of 8 pattern of different colours all along the side of yellow, light grey and white. It's a beautiful colour, and they're very acrobatic to watch. That is the most amazing thing about dolphins, is that they are so acrobatic when they swim. They love to ride in the bow of the ship, so that's when the ship's moving forward, it creates a massive ripple through the water, and the dolphins absolutely love to ride in this bow. That's why you see them quite a lot riding next to surfers, because they really love to jump in and out of those waves. So they do come over quite a lot to ships because they like to ride in that bow. Now, these guys are very agile, so they're usually a lot better at avoiding ships. Now, then, this here is a species that I've actually not been lucky enough. Sorry, the reflection's really bad. I've not been lucky enough yet to see this guy here. Now, actually, I say guy, this is actually a female. But this here is a Cuvier's beaked whale. Now, the Cuvier's beaked whale is actually probably one of the most famous whales within the cetacean community because it's broken the record on the deepest dive ever to have been recorded, which is amazing. These guys can hold their breaths for well over 2 hours while they dive. So these guys like habitats like those deep canyons that I was showing you before in the Bay of Biscay, because they like to hunt for animals like squid, so they can find those really well in those ocean canyons. Now then, for these guys, like I said, just try and imagine how amazing that feels to be able to hold your breath for over 2 hours. I can't even hold my breath for a minute. So it is so impressive that these guys can actually do it for over 2 hours. They are incredible, incredible animals. So fingers crossed that I one day get to see these guys in the Bay of Biscay, because it would make my year. So impressive. Now then, we do record our data while we're on these ferry ships. So as part of my job, although I'm educating passengers, I am also doing surveys and deck watches. So to try and get passengers involved, to try and see as much as we can, because we all know, even if you're an expert, 2 sets of eyes are better than 1 when you're looking at the sea, because we have got such a broad range to look at that it's really important that as many people as possible are looking out for these amazing animals that could very easily pass us by. Now then, so although we're recording all of this data, we're looking at so many different things while we're recording it. So we're looking at our location, how far away is the cetacean, what cetacean is it? Is it a baleen? Is it a toothed whale? Can we get it down to species? How many are there? What behaviour are they actually exhibiting? And that, for me, is the best part. What behaviour are they exhibiting? And that is really, really cool. Sometimes you'll see animals and they'll just be swimming. As simple as they're just swimming. They're either slow swimming, they're fast swimming. That means they've got a purpose to go somewhere. So that might be, they know that they're migrating, they've got somewhere to move and they need to keep moving. Might be moving because they're looking for food. They might be moving because they can hear a pod of killer whales coming in a completely opposite direction and they need to get moving. So lots of different behaviours out there, such as milling. Now, the milling is a really nice one to watch the whales and dolphins do. It means they're not swimming in any particular direction. They just cross over all in different paths. They're not swimming in any one direction. They just keep moving around. That's what we call milling. Now we're going to get on to my favourite behaviours, because these ones are just the best to watch. Now, my absolute favourite is the breach of a whale. Now, when the whale breaches, oh, don't tell me it's not going to work now. I don't think it's going to work. Oh, there we go. Now, the breach is when the animal looks like it's actually trying to fly, because the animal actually brings its complete body out of the water, realizes I can't fly, and it crashes, makes a massive splash. And that is the easiest way to spot a cetacean, because as soon as you see that massive splash, even if it's way on the horizon, you can see that splash somewhere. So it's great to see. And this here is a humpback whale breaching in Monterey Bay in California. Now, these guys do exhibit lots of different behaviours with breaching. Sometimes it's for different reasons. We will never 100% know why whales and dolphins breach. In some species, it looks like it's for social purposes, for a bit of fun. I've watched a calf humpback whale before breach for 34 minutes straight. After every breach, it came up for a breath, and then it'd go back down and it'd give another breach again in about 30 seconds time. It was amazing. So sometimes it looks like they're just being really playful. Other times, the breaching in animals can actually be a sign of aggression or competition. In humpback whales, it has been seen that if the males are competing for a female, they're actually doing all of this behaviour because they're trying to be the lead male. They're trying to be the one that comes out best out of this whole group of males. They want to be the one that wins over the female or gets to be the escort. So lots of different reasons. We'll never know why unless we learn to speak whale at some point. That would be great. But another one of my favourite behaviours that we sometimes see is spyhopping. Now, hopefully you guys can see this okay. This is a pod of killer whales in Norway. And as you can see, let me get my pen. This one here is spyhopping. There's also two over here that are spyhopping as well. And also one of a humpback whale spyhopping. Again, it looks like these guys, when they're doing it, are doing it because they're not sure what's above the water. They're trying to be quite curious, trying really hard not to anthropomorphize these animals. It's not good to make them sound like they have human behaviors, but it's really hard not to when they do things that are super, super curious. So yeah, it's amazing to see them do it. So I hope you guys at some point get to see any whales or dolphins exhibiting any of these behaviours. Keep coming in with your messages about the whales and dolphins that you guys have all seen. So all of this data is really important because it means that we can collect as much data as we possibly can do, like I said before, to make sure that we've got the right information to inform the correct government bodies or conservation groups about the different current issues that we've got with cetaceans, how they're looking, are they changing, are movements changing because of climate change. You know, so many different impacts are going on in the world today that we need to try and stay on top of that as best as we can. Now, one of the key things that the information that we do that goes towards from our wildlife officer jobs here and from all of our amazing volunteer surveyors goes towards the state of European cetaceans. Now, this is actually downloadable online off the ORCA website, which I've attached in the comments or the description, sorry. This report here has got all the current issues that are going on with European cetaceans. It's got all the data that we collected from over the last year about what is going on with different populations, what threats are they facing, how are things changing in their world. And that's a problem with cetaceans, is things are constantly changing for them, but how quickly can they adapt to it? So that is something that all of this amazing information goes towards, and we couldn't do it without all of our amazing volunteers that participate in all of these amazing ferry surveys that they do because they love to do it. They love to get involved in our conservation work, and that's fantastic. So you guys might have heard of, like I keep saying about these surveys, but you might have heard them before anyway, because at ORCA, we do run marine mammal survey courses. So when everything has calmed down, if this is something that sounds like you've really wanted to get involved with, then please be sure to book onto a marine mammal survey course. These courses are amazing. I've done it myself. I'd already known so much about whales and dolphins, and I still learned so much going on this course. It's only one day, it's classroom based, and we go off all of the different identification features of how to spot whales and dolphins, and the actual process that we use to record all of this super important data that I keep talking about. So if you're not a scientist and you're desperately wanting to get involved with whales and dolphins, then this is something that you can do too, because you don't need to be an expert. You just need to be super passionate, which I'm sure you already are because you've been watching me blabber on for 24 minutes about whales and dolphins. So hopefully you guys would enjoy or benefit from that course. And by doing that course, that means that you get to go on really cool survey routes all around the UK and Europe to go and see all of the local wildlife that we have that's virtually right on our doorstep. It's really, really impressive. Now, another course, not a course, sorry, but another thing that you guys might want to get involved with, if you're not wanting to do surveys, you just want to go see whales and dolphins, then maybe when everything has calmed down, you'd like to book on to one of our Brittany Ferries sea safaris. Now, the sea safaris are 3 days long. We have a whole team of ORCA staff and volunteers. So it's in the Bay of Biscay, where I'm based as a wildlife officer, and we all look out for whales and dolphins together over that 3-day period. Increases the chances massively of seeing whales and dolphins in the Bay of Biscay and along the English Channel, which is absolutely fantastic. So you guys might really benefit from doing a sea safari as well, which is so much fun. So hopefully you guys would enjoy doing a little bit of that as well. Now, if you guys ever do happen to go on a ferry, just check and see if ORCA are on one of those routes, because wildlife officers are based not only on the Bay of Biscay route, so I've just talked about Brittany Ferries and being on the Pont Avon ship, but we actually have wildlife officers on loads of different other ships as well. So with Brittany Ferries, also going to the Bay of Biscay is the Cap Finisterre. With DFDS, we have one in the English Channel and one in the North Sea. And then we've also got one with Calmac Ferries covering the Hebrides. Now, when everything gets going again and we can all participate in those things again, it would be great to see you guys. If you happen to go on any of those ferry routes, be sure to check us out. Check if we're going on any of those routes, because that would be really great to see you guys. It's always nice to share stories about whales and dolphins, which is great to see everybody on those. And I'm loving all of your comments on there as well. Oh, lovely. Right, okay, sorry guys, I'm running out of time. I'm not sure if I'm still online. Am I still here to answer any questions, Lizzie? Sorry, am I running over? I'm not entirely sure. So please check out the comments below if you guys want to know more about whales and dolphins. So please be sure to check us out on any of our social media platforms. Please let us know if you have enjoyed today, and I'll have a look at all of your questions and I will respond to them in the comments. Thanks very much, guys. Bye.